Amelia had always been self-conscious about her appearance. She was tall and gangly, with a face that was more interesting than beautiful. She had learned to hide behind her hair and clothes, to downplay her features and blend into the background. But despite her efforts, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was ugly. The cruel words of her childhood classmates still echoed in her mind, and she had grown up with a deep-seated belief that she was unattractive and unworthy. One day, Amelia received an invitation to her high school reunion. She was hesitant to go, fearing that she would be judged and rejected all over again. But something inside her urged her to face her fears and attend. Amelia put on a brave face and went to the reunion. But as soon as she walked in, she felt like she was in a nightmare. Everyone was staring at her, laughing and whispering to each other. "Look at her dress. It's so ugly," someone said. "And her hair. It's like a bird's nest." Someone else chimed in. Amelia tried to ignore them, but it was hard. She felt like she was the only one who didn't fit in. She wanted to run away and hide. But then, something unexpected happened. A kind-looking woman came up to her and said, "Amelia, you look beautiful. I love your dress and your hair. You're a unique and special person." Amelia was taken aback. No one had ever said anything so nice to her before. She felt a warmth in her heart and a smile on her face. Amelia was touched by the woman's kind words, but she couldn't shake off the feeling that she was just being pitied. She thought to herself, "She's just saying this to make me feel better, but she doesn't really mean it." Amelia couldn't bring herself to believe that someone could genuinely find her attractive or special. She had been conditioned to think that she was ugly and unworthy for so long that it was hard to change her mindset. But the woman's words stuck with her, and for the first time in her life, Amelia began to wonder if maybe, just maybe, she was worth more than she thought. Amelia couldn't help but think about her past, about how she was treated in school and college. No one had ever shown interest in her, no one had ever complimented her. Instead, she was mocked and teased, called names like ugly and awkward. She remembered how her classmates would make fun of her clothes, her hair, her looks. They would exclude her from games and activities, and she would be left alone, feeling like an outcast. Even in college, things didn't get much better. Her peers would snicker behind her back, make rude comments about her appearance. Amelia felt like she was a constant target, like she was somehow less deserving of respect and kindness because of the way she looked. These memories flooded her mind, making her feel like she was still that same unwanted, unloved person. But then she remembered the kind woman's words, and she wondered if it was possible to change her own narrative, to rewrite her story and find a new ending. In college, Amelia had a crush on a guy in her class. She would often find herself lost in thought, dreaming of him. But when he finally found out about her feelings, he didn't reciprocate them. Instead, he used her infatuation to his advantage. He would act friendly and charming, getting her to do his assignments and run errands for him. Amelia was blinded by her love and didn't realize she was being used. She would do anything for him, hoping he would eventually return her feelings. But once he got what he needed, he would ignore her completely. He wouldn't even acknowledge her presence. Amelia felt like a fool, realizing too late that she had been taken advantage of. Her heart was broken, and her self-esteem was shattered. This experience reinforced her belief that she was unworthy of love and respect. She felt like she was only good for one thing: being used. But deep down, a spark of anger and determination was ignited. She vowed to never let anyone treat her like that again. Amelia kept to herself at her new job, still nursing the wounds of her past. She thought she had finally moved on from her college crush, but fate had other plans. One day, she saw him walking into the office, applying for a job at the same company. Amelia's heart skipped a beat as he was hired on the spot. Suddenly, she was surrounded by colleagues swooning over him, but Amelia's feelings remained unchanged. She couldn't help but think about the past, about how he had used her. She wondered if he would even recognize her, or if he would just ignore her like he had before. Amelia tried to push the thoughts away, but they lingered, a constant reminder of her unresolved feelings. As they worked together, Amelia found herself watching him from afar, wondering if he had changed. But she knew she couldn't let her guard down, not again. She vowed to keep her distance, to protect herself from another heartbreak. One day, as they worked together, he suddenly looked up and caught her gaze. Amelia felt a jolt of electricity run through her body as their eyes locked. For a moment, they just stared at each other, the past hanging in the air like a challenge. Then, a faint smile spread across his face, and he walked towards her. "Amelia?" he said, his voice low and husky. "Amelia, is that you?" Amelia's heart raced as she nodded, her voice caught in her throat. He looked different, more mature, but his eyes still held the same charm that had captivated her in college. "What are you doing here?" he asked, his eyes scanning her face. Amelia shrugged, trying to play it cool. "Just working," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. He nodded, his eyes never leaving hers. "I'm glad I found you," he said, his voice filled with a sincerity that made her heart skip a beat. Amelia's mind raced as she tried to process what was happening. Why was he being so nice to her? Had he suddenly developed feelings for her? She couldn't help but feel a spark of hope, but she was also wary of getting hurt again. "What do you mean?" she asked, trying to sound nonchalant. "I mean, I've been thinking about you a lot lately," he said, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "I realized I was a jerk in college, and I want to make up for it." Amelia raised an eyebrow, skeptical. "Make up for it?" He nodded. "Yeah, I want to show you that I'm not that same guy anymore. I've grown up, and I appreciate you for who you are." Amelia's heart fluttered at his words, but she wasn't ready to forgive him just yet. She needed to see more. Amelia wanted to believe him, but she couldn't help feeling like she needed to change herself to deserve his attention. She started paying more attention to her appearance, trying to dress better and straighten her hair. She even practiced walking and talking in front of the mirror, watching YouTube tutorials to learn how to apply makeup. She felt like she was transforming herself into a completely different person, but she couldn't help but feel like it was all superficial. She was still the same person on the inside, but she felt like she needed to change her exterior to be worthy of love. As she worked on her new look, she couldn't help but wonder if it was all worth it. Was she doing this for him, or for herself? And would he even notice the changes she was making? As Amelia continued to work with him, she started to feel a sense of confidence she had never felt before. She realized that she didn't need to change herself for anyone else's approval, and that she was worthy of love and respect just the way she was. She thought to herself, if only I had known this earlier, I would have been more confident and maintained my individuality, just like the other girls. But she was grateful for the journey, no matter how painful it had been. She had learned to love herself, flaws and all, and that was the most beautiful thing she had ever done. With her newfound confidence, Amelia started to embrace her uniqueness and reject the societal pressure to conform. She realized that beauty was not just about physical appearance, but about being true to oneself. One day, her crush offered her a cup of coffee and asked, "Hey, Amelia, can I talk to you for a minute?" Amelia's heart skipped a beat as she wondered what he wanted to say. "Sure," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. He looked into her eyes and asked, "Do you still have feelings for me?" Amelia's heart raced as she tried to decide how much to reveal. She could play it safe and deny her feelings, or she could take a risk and be honest. Amelia took a deep breath and decided to be honest. "Yes, I still have feelings for you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. He looked at her with surprise and then smiled. "I'm glad you said that," he said. "Because I've developed feelings for you too." Amelia's heart soared as she heard his words. She couldn't believe that he felt the same way. "What changed your mind?" she asked, her curiosity getting the better of her. "I realized that I was blind to your beauty and kindness," he said. "You're an amazing person, Amelia, and I don't want to lose you again." Amelia's heart melted at his words. She had never thought she'd hear him say something like that. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. Amelia's heart raced as he got down on one knee and opened the box, revealing a beautiful diamond ring. "Amelia, from the moment I realized my feelings for you, I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with you," he said, his eyes shining with sincerity. "Will you marry me?" Tears of joy streaming down her face, Amelia nodded eagerly. "Yes, yes, 1,000,000 times yes," she exclaimed. He slid the ring onto her finger, and they shared a kiss as the office erupted in cheers and applause. Amelia had never imagined that her life would take such a beautiful turn. As they hugged and celebrated, Amelia realized that she had finally found her true love. She had transformed from an ugly woman to a beautiful and confident person, both inside and out. Their wedding was a grand affair, with friends and family gathering to witness their love. Amelia shone like a star in her white gown, and her husband couldn't take his eyes off her. Together, they proved that true beauty comes from within, and that love can conquer all. Amelia's journey was a testament to the power of self-love and acceptance. Years later, when people asked Amelia about her love story, she would smile and say, "It was a journey of self-discovery and love. I learned to love myself, and then I found him."